What's up YouTube, this is Brian from B-Town Doors, and today I'm proud to announce that the month of April will be Do-It-Yourself month. I'm going to be teaching you how to do anything from fletching an arrow all the way to broadhead tuning. So, hope you guys enjoy all these videos I have in store for you. So for today's video, I'm going to teach you how to strip, clean, wrap, and refletch the arrows the nice and easy way. Probably most of you guys know how to do it, but obviously you clicked on this video because you want to learn how. So, I'll see you guys in a couple seconds. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to have to take out the knock because we don't want to damage it while we're using a blade to cut off the fletchings. So this next part can get a little tricky. A lot of people might kind of come at me for using a razor blade like this and not an actual fletching stripper, but as a whole part of saving money or do-it-yourself, that's just it. This is $1. The fletching strippers that you see at the stores are about $15, so yeah, $1 compared to $15, you can't beat that. So all you gotta do is just be nice and careful. Make sure that the blade is nice and even. You don't want to have it at an angle and jab in because you don't want to damage the carbon of your arrow. So you're just gonna want to keep it nice and flat with the surface. So I'm actually going to take off the fletchings first because it makes taking the wrap off a lot easier. And for the people who just have fletchings on their arrow, then they can see that part and then they can skip to the next part. So like I said, you're just going to go to the base of the fletching and make sure you're pretty level or pretty parallel touching. And you're just going to go nice and smooth, just like that. Super easy. You're going to have a little bit of base, part of the base that didn't get it. You're just going to do the same thing to both sides, and there you have it. So I'm going to take off these two, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, so this next part, getting the wrap off, I've seen a lot of people kind of just scrape it like this as they twist their arrow. I don't like to do that just because I feel like it might nick your arrow, so I just like to just go a little bit out of a time and just slowly spin the arrow as I go. It takes a little bit longer, but it's well worth it in the end. There you have it. There is no more wrap on that arrow. I'm gonna have a nice big pile that once was a wrap, and let's go clean this thing. All right, and now we're at my sink. I'm assuming you guys have a sink. If you don't, you're probably homeless, and if you're homeless, why are you watching this? Go find a job. You're gonna need the rough side of a sponge and some Comet. This stuff's like $1 at the store. And it is the only way, I repeat, the only way to get the stickiness off your shaft. I'm sorry, I'm like 12. So I'm going to turn on the water and get it as hot as my little hands can handle. Okay, once you got it nice and hot, you're going to get your shaft wet. And sprinkle some Comet. And then, well, just go to town. So usually when you're doing this, you can feel the glue still on the arrow, and I like to just scrub it until I can't feel on that glue anymore. And I think I'm about there. So, give it a good rinse. Once you got it rinsed, don't touch this part. We're going to set it right here, and we're going to let it dry on its own. We're not going to take a paper towel to it. We're just going to let it air dry. All right, now that that's air dry, I just like to take an alcohol wipe and just do one quick swipe. Just make sure there's absolutely no oil on here because if there's a tiny bit of oil, your glue's not going to stick right, and you're going to have a whole bunch of problems. So, now that we got that nice and dry and clean, we put our knock back on. And we're going to wrap this thing. So what I do, I want a hard surface, but I want it to be able to, the arrow to be pushed in and let the magazine just kind of form so the wrap goes on there, and it's a nice, beautiful marriage, if you will. So I've got my wrap here. This is 100% customized at Decal Guy's website. I've got the Bear Archery logo and my son's name and also the arrows I shoot. So go check them out. It's super easy to customize, and they can make your arrows look super cool. So I got my wrap face down on the magazine. The top is right here, bottom's down here. Don't get that messed up. And we're just going to make sure that you line up as close as you can with the wrap and the arrow. And I kind of like to give it a little push just to make sure that the wrap's on there. And then we're just going to push as hard as we can against the magazine as we roll. There we go. That's a wrapped arrow. So when I talk about this being a do-it-yourself to save money, there's some things you just don't want to cut corners on. In this case, it's a fletching jig. I have wasted so much money on fletching jigs that just haven't worked too well, and I finally just shelled out the $80 and purchased this. This is by far the best one I've ever used. It only took me about 2 arrows to get adjusted perfect. And usually the jigs that I wasted 3 or 4 arrows, and I still couldn't get it right. So this was super easy to set up. There's a couple screw holes there, couple there, and they fit to any arrow. These arrows are a little bit smaller in diameter. These are the Easton Full Metal Jackets, and they work perfect in here. So what you're going to want to make sure first is you're going to have this little knob in the first position. In my case, I do 2 blues and a red as my off-color arrow. So I'm gonna wanna put my off-color arrow in first. And you're gonna wanna make sure that this flat side is in the first position. And how you're gonna wanna do that is you're gonna take your clamp, and if you can see, it's got little lines there. I've marked mine with black, so I know that my fletching's in the same spot every time. So I'm going to take my fletching, and I'm just going to pop it right in there and make sure it's nice and lined up with that black mark. And then I got my glue. I'm using Gorilla Glue, and when it comes to the glue, less is definitely more. I don't want to take a whole stream along the spine there. I just want to do about 5 or 6 little dots, and then as I press it to the arrow, those dots will spread out and give you a nice even coat. There we go. There's the glue. So I've got the arrow in there. I'm not really too worried about where my arrow wrap is located in the nock. I know there's a few OCD people out there who would kind of like that to be aligned, but for me it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to take this flat side and line it up with these magnets, pressing the end of the clamp towards the bottom and pressing really gently against the arrow and making sure that that's flush against. Alright, so that's been about 30 seconds, and what we're going to want to do is unclamp it and pull straight off, trying to avoid the fletching. And now this clamp, you're going to want to go counterclockwise or toward you for the second position. And then you're going to want to grab your second color of fletching. In my case it's blue, and we're going to repeat. Do the same thing, again, twist it one more time till it clicks. Do your other blue fletching, or in your case any other color, and do the same thing 2 more times. Alright, so I've got the last fletching in the clamp again. Nice and slow, take the clamp off. There you have it. And there is a nice professionally done fletched arrow. I like to take a Q-tip and kind of just clean up the sides and get all the glue that has leaked out. There you go. That's a perfectly fletched arrow. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And guys, have a good day.